Now under control.
What is going on, guys and girls? Level Up here at OnPointTactical, and today I want to talk about the current state of Battlefield 4, what the updates have fixed, what they have not fixed, and what needs to be addressed, and some things that Alan Kurtz particularly has been talking about on his Twitter page. Now, the updates have been quite successful whenever we're talking about making the gameplay experience tighter. Now, it's taken a while for those updates to actually make this effect happen. This last update definitely has made the netcode and just the general feel of the game a bit more tight. I guess it would be the only way to explain it. It really is, because you're trying to get things to where it doesn't seem unfair on one side of the screen, but you have to make everything make sense, and pretty much the only way to do that is to have a really solid netcode, so it just makes the whole gameplay experience work a bit better when your netcode is all there. Another thing is the different little tweaks that we've made to the black screen, and that is definitely something that I like, is the fact that we've reduced that to almost nothing. It would be better if it wasn't there at all, but, you know, still, a very, very short black screen is much better than the 1.5 long black screen that we had before, or however long it was. There is going to be updates made to the revolvers. The DMR change is well appreciated by a lot of the community, but I personally think that they still need to be up at 50 damage in close quarters to make them very well-rounded and balanced. You know, basically just so that they stand a chance versus an equally skilled player in close quarters. There's pretty much no way you're going to beat out an Ace 23 or, you know, something like that in close quarters. If the other player knows what they're doing anyway, then you're probably not going to win that gunfight. But, you know, it's sort of a fickle thing, weapon balancing and whatnot. But I think that the DMRs could use 50 damage, or at least some of them, like the M39, the slow ones, could use that 50 damage in close quarters, so that, you know, it makes spam firing less relevant, because I think people really aren't annoyed by how powerful DMRs are. I think they're just annoyed by that sound that it makes whenever someone starts to spam the trigger button, which thus far has been the only way to kill anyone. So, you know, I get why it happens. And I understand why it irritates people, but come on, I mean, we gotta make the game work versus people's preference. Now, there's been more discussion about the G36 from Alan Kurtz, and he very specifically said that the rate of fire and reload times cannot change on the G36. And my understanding of this is that they used real-world sound effects and, you know, a real-world weapon to map their rate of fire and whatnot, so they don't want to change it for realism purposes. However, I think that if we want to make the G36 a viable option, I think that we're pretty much left with only one way to go about this. We have to make it good at long range, and I think we need to give it an assault rifle damage model, so raise its long range damage from 15.4 to 18, sort of like how the MTAR was, and then make its recoil really low for 1, but give it a high muzzle velocity of 680 meters a second or so. I think that, you know, those things may not make it perfect for a lot of things. It would still be, you know, horrible basically in close quarters, but I think at that point you could actually hit long range targets and deal some pretty good damage, and it would make sense versus other carbines. The A91 was brought up briefly by a bit of the community for patching it. I don't think it's necessary. I think it just needs to sit where it is. I like it. It's a good hipfire weapon, but we don't need an ADS monster. Now, I was scrolling through and looking at some of the second assault weapon stats, and I can't wait to go over these once we actually get second assault on the 18th of February for premium users. It should be really fun to play, but that F2000... its stats are looking more and more interesting all the time. It is the only weapon that has the exact same recoil pattern from Battlefield 3 in Battlefield 4, so I can't wait to play with that. Now, the progress that has been made is good. You know, not ideal. We still have a lot of things that need to be fixed. But we've also made some not so good changes, like the 0% health glitch, and then the display glitch. It's displaying 100 and 0 constantly, depending on no matter what health they're at. You know, things like that definitely need to be looked at and fixed. But you know, we'll just have to see how that goes. Now, I don't understand why so many people are getting hateful towards DICE, and I don't mean to sound like I'm totally defending them. Like, yes, they need to be fixing the game. That's their job, and they've been working on it. But I don't understand why people get, like, just furious, basically, with EA and DICE. Because you guys have to realize that 2 years is not a lot of development time, and every Call of Duty game has 2 years of development time, and still every once in a while has launch bugs, and they are using the same engine every single time. Battlefield is using a new engine every single time. Like, there is a heck of a lot more work that goes into these games over that 2-year span than Call of Duty games, and I don't think people really appreciate how much more work it is. And overall, I would expect there to be launch errors with any game, but Battlefield especially, because there's so much work that has to go into these to get them perfect, and they can't really test a game until, you know, millions of players have played millions of hours on the game. So, sort of in EA and DICE's defense, I don't want to sound like I'm just kissing their butt or anything, but it makes sense to me that it takes a while. If you guys will remember, it took about 6 months to get Battlefield 3 running well, and I wouldn't expect much difference for any Battlefield game unless EA allows DICE 3 years or more to build every Battlefield, but I don't think that the community would sit well with that. I'm LevelUp here at OnPointTactical. Let me know what you guys think about what I've said down in the comments box below. If you could click that like button on your way out, that would mean a whole lot to me, and I hope to see you guys on the battlefield.